And now we move on to a case study about how did the bubble paradise of Maldives stay open. And we are delighted to have the Minister of Tourism for Maldives, Dr. Abdulla Mausoom, calling in from Delhi. Dr. Mausoom, how are you?
So I'm very fine, thank you.
All right, good to see you. And you are in Delhi, where you are actually attending a travel trade show, the South
Yeah,
Asian Travel Forum.
that's right. I'm attending Asia Travel and Tourism Exchange, and it is surreal. It is unbelievable to be here after 1 year of lockdown to be in a travel fair and seeing people. It's really amazing.
Right, so clearly you believe in physical events even after a year of virtual. So it's fantastic to see you in Delhi, out on the road and promoting and selling the Maldives. So let's address the biggest question in the room, the elephant in the room. What gave Maldives the courage to open up when the world was still grappling with the virus and other countries were more intent on shutting down than opening up? What gave you the courage to do it? Or was it desperation?
Yeah, I think that was a question to be or not to be a question. And our president, His Excellency Ibrahim Solhi, decided that it is to be. Yeah, we had actually little choice because tourism is everything. When tourism stops, everything stops. So we had to open up, and that is a decision that was made with full consultation with travel trade partners. And so it is a decision that has to be made because our economy totally dependent on tourism, and we also don't have a big domestic economy, and especially domestic travel was not possible as some of the guests just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you heard, I don't know if you were listening when we had Dr. Walter Lim on, and he was just applauding the Maldives for being able to do it in a safe way and kind of manage manage the situation because you had to. But personally, it must have been a super stressful time for you, right? Because, you had to ensure that inbound visitors would not put local communities at risk. I mean, that's the biggest fear that governments have, right? Is having inbound visitors affecting the local communities. And so, how did you manage to balance the risk with the economic necessity? I mean, like, what were some of the questions, the big questions, like to be or not to be? What are some of the big questions you had to ask yourself?
Yeah, once the decision was made to open up, then it is how do we move forward? The priority was on giving the safety for tourists, for the staff, and for the community, uh, but with minimum inconvenience to the tourists. So that was the whole formula. And by that time, by mid-July, we already have the scientists telling us what to do and what not to do. We had the normal formula of social distancing, mask and sanitizer. So those things there. And as doctor mentioned, Maldives had our geographic advantage. So we initially opened the resorts. Then later we start opening the safari vessels. But now we have opened everything. We are very confident that we are doing it the right way. Tourists are telling us so. So we now even the small hotels in the outer islands, liverboards, everything is in operation. Over 95% of the total bed capacity are now up and running.
Right. I mean, it seems to have paid off because I was following the number of infections, and your local infections are actually decreasing. Your prime minister has declared that your 540,000 population will be vaccinated within 6 months. And you said that there has been no record of transmissions from tourists to locals. And other than, geography lending itself to natural bubbles, what's the single biggest factor you think led to your opening safely? Was it just following the signs?
Yeah, like first of all, our president is determined to move it on. So we had a approach where everyone was engaged. So whole of government, whole of community, whole of travel industry, and the health sector. So that made us to make decisions faster, move on, and giving the confidence necessary for other governments, which was very essential. So our foreign office was really engaged. Everyone in the Maldives was engaged in this one. International organizations like UNWTO and PATA were helping us, and also the volunteer organization volunteers. Everyone when we were working together, it wasn't stressful at all.
Well, you don't look very stressed. Well, but I wouldn't look stressed if I lived in the Maldives as well, you know. So look at the numbers that's happening in Maldives. Like your tourism is thriving. In 2019, you had 10.7 million bed nights with 1.7 million arrivals. When you opened up from July 15th, you were at 555,000, and then you're targeting like really, you know, getting up there in 2021. So the only missing chunk is East Asia, right, which is 40% of your market.
That's right. Asian market hasn't started coming back, and that they have been a very significant market. But also the Europe was very kind of still not in a travel mood at the moment. Um, as it is now, it is 40% if you compare to 2019. But we are hoping that we will get the Asian market very quickly, and the numbers will be pre-COVID 2019 numbers. We should be getting by mid this year. And some markets, they have already bounced back much better than that we were in 2019.
Right, you know, your markets, I mean, we're still waiting for the bubble with Singapore. You know, you used to live here, right? So, you know, we would love for the Singapore Maldives bubble to open, and we're there. But your markets have shifted at this time, and India is now number one, followed by Russia and Eastern Europe, right? So how's their spending compared with your traditional number one market of China?
The spending more or less remains the same. Now, Maldives product is very varied. Now, you have got ultra resorts where you could spend $30,000 a night, to a moderate boutique hotel where you could spend $100. And the pricing options, some are opting for the all inclusive. So the spending power of both the markets, everyone who is coming to Maldives this time, they're pretty good, and the pricing is much is same as that were before. And we are happy that with the vaccine we are able to release some of the restrictions we have, and that the income will start going to the common people.
Right, and your average stays have also lengthened, right? And we're seeing a trend in people just going to the Maldives to work from there. Your average stays have lengthened from 7.5 to 9.5 days. You're talking about extending 1 year visas to digital nomads who want to work in the Maldives this year. Plus, you've got a vaccine tourism campaign coming up. So I can come to the Maldives and get vaccinated.
Yeah, so first priority is to get the vaccination for the whole population, the residents population. We are doing very well. And also the tourism sector employees is a top priority. So we have started vaccinating tourism sector employees just in the same line as health sector workers, and priorities to the frontline workers of the tourism sector. Working from Maldives has become a fashion. We see very executives, CEOs, owners of big companies living in Maldives. Kind of, we normally give a 30-day travel visa, a tourist visa, but it after 90 days when it expires, that is the present regulation limit. But immigration is so kind; they have decided to give a special visa for the time being. But we are working on a permanent solution where we will have a long-term visa. We see private jets coming with the financial executives come and get the necessary signatures from the company bosses and move on. So vacation is really helpful. And the 3V tourism we are focusing on, that is also on the go. We want tourists to visit, vaccinate, and have their vacation.
All right. So you know, I'm going to ask the handful of people here in the studio because we have our speakers and the crew here, and I'm going to ask them like how many of you actually want to work in the Maldives, like do some remote work in the Maldives. You know, Mausoom, we have every hand going up. So you got a lot of business with vacations for sure. You know.
Thank you. We will speed up the visa. We will speed up the visa, and just with regard to the Eastern market, because Indian market has had a really good start. They have done now. They cover 23% of the market, and with the exit numbers, we are hoping that it will reach over 300,000 this year. We have 60 flights a week, and it has got the advantage of being very close to the Maldives. So, but I will not be surprised if China comes back, as Steve was mentioning, that they are really waiting there to travel out as soon as the go sign comes out. So we will not be surprised if China catches back in 2022 this year, but it will be a very tough fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone says again that COVID has given us an opportunity to do better by tourism, right? And if it comes back, it shouldn't come back the way it was. It should come back in a new way. What do you want to do better in the Maldives after this?
I think what we have understood was the tourism sector is very resilient. It can bounce back. And especially for the Maldives, we have the blessing of, we have got a very high number of repeat tourists. So repeat tourists are very important. They know the Maldives and they give confidence to others. So we will concentrate on focusing on repeat visitors and giving the information. Information was the main thing that we had to address, and I wish to thank the media for taking the Maldives story out, giving the correct news in the storm of the fake news world. But we were able to get the news out. So I think getting the media right is something very, very important, and we are working on it.
Right. And so you basically want to create like a Maldives loyalty club then.
It is already there. Remember, we launched the first loyalty program. The Maldives border miles is open, and we
Yeah.
have there are people who have visited 40, 50, 60 times to the Maldives, and they're very loyal. It's
Okay.
their second home.
You should introduce a subscription model now. So anyway, we always end our interview with rapid fire, like one word answers. Okay. So what's the one thing that's kept you sane during this super stressful time, even though you say it's not?
I think adaptiveness of the industry and also the unity, solidarity of the people.
Okay. What's the one thing that you're even more convinced of after COVID?
Tourism will rebound. Tourism industry is very resilient. It will bounce back. It's a people industry. People like to travel, so give the chance, and they will travel.
Anything that surprised you during COVID?
It's the solidarity and patience of the people that really surprised me. We had all sorts of restrictions, and people were really following the guidelines of the health authorities, and that surprised us.
Okay. So you live in the Maldives, which is a wonderful paradise of islands and all that, right? What's your dream trip coming up when you can travel again for holidays?
Oh my God. I loved my time in Singapore. So Singapore would be a first. And we have started working on that leisure bubble for a while, and I hope it becomes a reality.
Yeah.
And I think I like nature. So a nature that Maldives does not have. So that must be snow. I was kind of jealous when you were having that virtual snow trip just now.
Okay. So when you fly from Maldives to Singapore, I will be on the flight going out to the Maldives and we'll kind of pass each other. All right. So
Let's change places. Let's change places.
so there are lots of resorts now looking to reopen. Thailand has said that they want to open by June, July. We've got Bali, Bintan, all these island resorts that are looking to open. What would be your one piece of advice to them?
Keep the human touch intact. Don't lose the human touch. Technology will be there. We have been in front of virtual platforms. Keep the human touch. Reach your guests and give the human aspect. That is the strength of, I think, Asian tourism. We
Wonderful.
are still there as human beings, and especially tourism sector. We need the human touch. That will bring the tourists back.
Wonderful. Let's keep the human touch. And I hope that October, when we have our WiT Experience Week in Singapore, you will be here on stage with us face to face. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Mausoom. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
So
much.
look,
Thank you
look
for that
forward to that.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.